Good morning, students. Today I am going to start a new topic called the Java GUI components. So let's start with the Java GUI components. Whenever you install the Java development kit, insert the JDK into your system, it comes along with a large set of components which is helpful for building and managing graphical user interfaces. Those components are also known as controls, and we represent each of those controls using a class. The examples of such controls can be the text field, the labels, the text area, radio buttons, checkboxes, combo boxes, etc. And those controls is represented using a class. For example, we represent the text field with the help of the class known as JTextField. We represent the radio button with the help of the class known as the JRadio button. We represent the label with the help of the class known as the JLabel, okay, and so on. And these classes are packaged inside a special package known as the javax.swing, okay, and we also call this package named as javax.swing as the Java Foundation classes. So every class that represents a control is within a special package known as the Java Foundation classes or javax.swing. Then come to the next point. It says the base class of majority of the control classes is JComponent. As we know that each of the controls that comes along with the Java development kit is represented using a class. But there are some controls which inherits or acquires the features of different controls. Okay, so we call those controls which acquires the features or the characteristics of other control as the child class or the derived class. And the control from whom these child classes or derived class acquires or inherits the characteristics is known as the base class. And since most of the controls, okay, inside the Java development kit acquires or inherits the characteristic of the J component control, so we can say that the base class of majority of the control classes is J component. The J component class implements the basic functionality of all the classes inherited from it. Now, some of the controls can also hold other controls. These controls are known as the container controls. Examples of such container controls are the frame and window. Now look at this design window. This design window consists of a rectangular like gray colored box. This rectangular like gray colored box is a container control which holds three different controls. Okay, the first one is the control with the text color, the second one is the control with the text red, and the third one is the control which is shaped like a rectangular like white colored box. So this container control, which is in the shape of a rectangular like box and is gray in color, is known as the frame. And the frame now holds three different controls. This is the first control with the text color. Okay, we call this control as the label. Then this is the second control with the text red. We call this control as the combo box. And this is the third control, okay, which is in the shape of a rectangular like box, but this is colored white. We call this control as the text area control. So from this design window, we can say that the container control known as the frame holds three types of controls. Okay, the first one is the label, the second one is the combo box, and the third one is the text area. Now the table in this slide shows the list of names of classes available in the Swing package. The first class is identified by the name JFrame. This class represents the frame control, which is in the shape of this rectangular like box and is gray in color. The second class is the JLabel. This class represents the label control, okay, which is also in the shape of a rectangular like box, but its size is small because it can hold only small text. This label component is used to display a static text or a caption on a form. The next class is identified by the name JTextField. This class represents a text box. The text box is also in the shape of a rectangular like box, but its size is small and it's colored white. The function of this text box is to accept user input in an application. The next class is identified by the name JButton. This class represents an action button. Okay, now you can see this small rectangular shaped gray like button. Okay, this button represents the action button. This action button provides the functionality of firing user commands when it is clicked or activated. We also identify this action button by the name push button. So we can call this control by the name action button as well as the push button. Then the next class is represented by the name JTextArea. Okay, now this class, which is identified by the name JTextArea, represents a text area. Okay, now you can see this bigger rectangular shaped structure, okay, which is colored white. This control is known as the text area control, and JTextArea is the class name which represents this text area control. Now there is a difference between the text box and the text area. The text box is the smaller size rectangular box which is colored white, and the text area is the larger size rectangular box which is also colored white. The difference between the text box and the text area is that the text box can hold only single line of text, whereas the text area can hold multiple lines of text. The next class is identified by the name JList. This JList class represents the list box, and the list box is a box-like control which contains a list of items. As you can see here, in this list box, which is in the shape of a box-like control and white in color, there are items known as item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4 and item 5. Okay, so this list box can hold a list of items, and this is represented using the class JList. Then come below, the next class is identified by the name JComboBox. This class represents the combo box. The combo box is in the shape of a rectangular like box, okay, which consists of a list of items. The selected item, okay, is shown as a text in the combo box. Okay, so only the selected item gets displayed in the combo box. Now in this combo box, since the selected item is item 1, so only item 1 gets displayed in this combo box. The rest of the items, okay, inside this combo box are hidden. Okay, the unselected items in this combo box are not displayed. And items in this combo box can get selected by clicking on this drop down option of the combo box. Then come to the next class. Okay, this is identified by the name JRadioButton. this class represents the radio button. The radio button is in the shape of a small circular shaped symbol, okay, and it's shaded white. So in this case, the name of the radio button, okay, which is in the shape of the small circular shaped symbol and is shaded white, is JRadioButton1, and this radio button belongs to the class known as JRadioButton. The next class is identified by the name GUI-Checkbox, and this class represents a checkbox. The checkbox is in the shape of a small square-like structure like this, which is white in color. The name of this checkbox is GUI-Checkbox1, okay, which belongs to the class called GUI-Checkbox. A selected checkbox is always ticked and an unselected checkbox is unticked. Now since this checkbox is unticked, so this is an unselected checkbox. And in the case of this radio button is unselected. Then come to the next class identified by the name JPasswordField. This class represents a password field which is in the shape of a rectangular like small box which is colored white. Now any password that you type in this password field, okay, shall be masked with these small black dots. Okay, so these black colored dots shall mask your actual password which you type. Then look at the next class, okay. This class is represented by the name JOptionPane, okay, and this class identified by the name JOptionPane represents a message box, okay. Now here is the simple figure, okay, which shows the message box, and in this case this message box displays the text JOptionPane message, okay, and the button shows OK. So from this figure we can say that this message box is asking us to click on this OK button.